Hello and welcome to the Queber channel. I am Jason, your host. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Why am I doing my vlog on this system today? Because I want to show you my Linux install. I'm about to tweak it a little bit by changing the graphics card and adding a 4TB Crucial M2 that I've got over there that I'm going to plug in, give you a bit more space. My move to Linux was not easy. It is, let me just bring, it is, when you move from Windows, it's not a simple thing. There is a few hurdles, but is it worth it? Oh yes. You've got to remember, I had seven Windows computers in my house. I have been a Windows and a Microsoft person since the early 90s. I have always bought every single operating system, not just one operating system for the entire. When Paula was here, I would buy a copy for hers. We've had Windows 98, Windows XP, Windows 7. And while I've touched Linux now and then, Windows has always been my gaming, my modding. Everything about Windows felt comfortable. And for someone with autism, that's a big thing. Changing over to Linux was not easy. One of the scariest things was the terminal, the console. Now in Windows you don't, unless you used to do MS-DOS and all that, you don't really have to type in anything. You can do it, and you can have that kind of experience in Linux. I mean, look at the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck, a lot of people who use the Steam Deck don't realize they're using Linux, but they are. So how do I update on this? Well, when I open my terminal, my console up on this system, I'm presented with this. It just shows you my hardware and that. Nothing major. You can customize it in any way you want. All versions of Linux, or like the distros, what they call the distros, are just slightly different. I've been on this now for 3 months. I love it. And the console is something you will get used to. It's a pain in the ass when you first start using it. It really is. But it's not anywhere near as annoying and problematic as Windows can be. I mean, look at all the bugs that Windows have got at the moment. Now, every day when I do this daily, you don't have to do it daily, but I like to. I just type in yay. And if I want to install something new, like it shows me there what I installed Brave a couple of days ago. I would have just typed in yay Brave, and then it will tell me, give me a list of versions of the Brave browser, and I can choose one and press return, and it will install it. Simple. When it comes down to it, it's very simple, and I'm in control. But if I want to actually just do the daily check if there's any updates for anything on my system, I just press yay, and then I'll put the password in. And then I'll press return. There is ways of making it so you don't have to. So it's just searched and saw that there's a few little updates, nothing major, everything's up to date, and there's a few little things that it can run, and I just press return. And then I press yes to install, and it'll just do its job. There, 29 seconds, and it's just done the updates for the day. That is a little bit more than you would have to do with Windows. You just press the check for update button. But I have control of this. I can see what's going to be installed. I can decide not to install something. Different systems use different ways of doing it. I like the Yay system. And don't ask me what that stands for, I know, but I've forgotten it at this moment in time, so I'm not going to focus on it. Certainly not going to Google it to find out. But let's think about all the bits and pieces. Games. It's extremely unusual now for me to find a game that doesn't just work. I'm not just talking about Steam games. I'm talking about any game I download. I'm talking about anything. As you know, I've got hentai games on my system. I enjoy adult games. And a lot of adult games, you have to get the patch from a website, and that patch is an exe. But with this, all you do is you run it using something called Proton Tricks. And it will just, you say, okay, so say I downloaded a patch for a game, let's call the game Cookie 126. Cookie 126 game. So I go and download the patch, it's an exe, it goes to my download folder. I then go to it and I double click on it and a little thing will come up. Would you like to run this via Proton Tricks? And I say yes. You'll then come up with a list of my games. I will choose the Cookie 126 game. Click on that. So it will install on that. And then I press return. And then the normal exe launcher will come up and guide me through installing the game. I type the game patch. And it's done. Different, but I'm in control. I'm deciding what gets installed. Wabberjack, there's something called Jackify, which is being improved amazingly, and I'm so grateful to that team. Wabberjack is what you use for modding games on Windows. It's called Jackify on and it does pretty much the same thing, and you might have to tweak a few little things, a few little bits and pieces that might be related to Windows install, but apart from that, pretty much everything because that was one of the big things I didn't want to lose out. I didn't want to lose out on what I had access to. I love the way the desktop is set up on this. You can make it as Windows-like as you want. I find knowing that I'm in control. Now Kashi is based on Arch. I like Arch, but the main reason I went Arch was because all my friends who I talk to on Discord use a derivative of Arch, and so therefore I knew if there was any problems in the early days, mounting drives and things like that, I didn't know how to do the base knowledge. But now I do most of my stuff myself. It's been a while since I've had to ask a question. One of the last issues I had wasn't actually an issue. It was actually my Valve Index, the sound system on it, finally dying. You can use VR on this system, and it works really well. The problem was I found that my audio wasn't working for some weird reason. Couldn't get it to work, tried everything, and I was convinced that it was a Linux issue. But that's one of the reasons I re-put together my Windows test system, and when I plugged my headset into my Windows test system, I realized that, there's no sound on that either. So therefore the sound system on my Index, which we've got a thing, my Index is about almost 6 years old. It's been through the ringer, it's been used a lot. It's finally failed. It's okay because I'm using my Logitech Pro headset for sound and mic on my Index for now anyway, so that's not a problem. But it was just, I was so convinced that it was a Linux issue, and it wasn't a Linux issue. I love the system. I would not go back to Windows. Like I said, I had a test bench with Windows in, and I've got rid of it. And the reason I've gotten rid of it is because I had it installed, I set it back up, I turned off all the things I didn't want on the system, all the bloody advertisements and everything that it puts on. And I turned it on a couple of days ago to test it, and Windows had done an update. And that update screwed up not only my sound system with my Logitech, but reset all my preferences again. It's like, fuck this, I don't even want Windows as a test bench. And so I'm back on here as this system, and I find Linux to be more stable. Now, what are my suggestions? Now, if you want just a pure gaming system, then there's SteamOS, but SteamOS only really works with it only really fully supports an AMD system. It's built around that. It is coming for other things as well, but it's built around that. There's Bazite. Bazite is freaking amazing if you want a system that is protected and set up. My downstairs little mini PC is running Bazite. It's I use it for all my bits and pieces on the thing, and it works really well. It boots straight into big screen mode type thing and all that kind of thing. And you can use it with a controller. It's gorgeous. But yesterday I wanted to watch a film, so I just booted into the desktop and I set up Jellyfin, and I watched TV, and it was no more complicated than setting up a Windows one. So that is where we are at. I wanted to do this update. I think there's no reason, unless you're using a couple of very specific pieces of software with Windows, for anybody to stay on Windows now. I think anybody, especially if they've got friends that can help them, should change. First of all, your hardware will work better. Your boot times will be less. Your games will run smoother. Once you've got them working, they will just run smoother, and some games will work actually faster, even through the translation layer on a Linux system than a Windows system. And you won't have all the bloat, and you won't have the operating system as a service that Windows is going towards. And you will have control over what happens on your system. You'll be more resistant to viruses and things like that. It can happen to you on here, and it'll depend what you download and that. But I love it. I absolutely fucking love this system. You remember, when it comes to technology that I use daily, that is part of my coping strategy, it has to work. Every time I turn it on, it has to work. The only two issues I've had recently, that's within the last couple of days, is to do with me tweaking and changing certain parts of the system. I've been, how can I put it? I've been playing with things, and I've been using my external GPU, and the permissions for USB 4 mean that sometimes if I have my external GPU plugged in and turned on before I turn on the main computer, it will not get to desktop. But that's a permission system though. I can fix it, but seeing as I'm just testing things, I don't see the point. So what else am I doing? Today I'm going to I've got a 4 terabyte Crucial drive, which was in my Windows PC down here, but now that I'm using my main PC more, I'm going to plug that in. There's a few other drives that are connected to this system that I'm going to pull out of the Windows system and use them in my main. It's the end of an era. My very last little bits of a Windows machine are going bye-bye. So I hope you're all having a wonderful, splendiferous day. Bye-bye for now. Oh, and by the way, OBS has come a long way on Linux. It used to be quite hard to get OBS working, especially if you wanted to game and everything. But now, as you've seen me streaming in that, I'm doing all that on my Linux system. So bye-bye for now.